Hey agents, Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to today's build video. Now Ethan, we've talked about this before, bro. Come on, bro. So, welcome to today's build video. So, the Diamondback build that I posted is the PvP version. Today is going to be the PvE version of the Diamond build. So, there's a few things we're going to have to go over in this video. Make sure to stick around and don't just skip through because you guys are going to miss a lot of key things that you need to follow. So, the most important thing, obviously, is you need to run the sharpshooter specialization. Before we get into this, just a quick little note. This build can be changed in many ways. I'm going to explain the ways it could possibly make it situational but better. You'll be able to do more damage. We hit about 900,000, about 940,000 damage to the head on elites. This is for elites, obviously, but there are ways to make it to do more damage. But my builds on, I try to focus around survivability. You don't just want to be able to headshot, do 1.2 million damage and then that's it, staying in cover all the time, which you can do, but that's not how I like to play. So how you guys like to play is dependent on how you want to make your build. This is my opinion. This is my build that I use for this for PvE. So you guys can change it to whatever you want. So just keep that in mind. All right. So the most important thing as you want to get this drone out. I like using this drone. It's very, very good. You should have everything unlocked. So just make sure all of these other ones are unlocked. One in the head, you need to make sure we got all that headshot damage because this build's going to focus around headshot damage. And then we want to make sure that the 15% increased rifle damage is a tier 3. Those are the most important things. Go for that. So let's go over this build. Now, there's going to be a lot of explaining in this video, so I do apologize if you guys get bored. So we've got 882, nice balance. This is more of a DPS slash survivability build. You're not tanky, but you can actually tank a lot of damage with this build. So the Diamondback, what is the case with the whole damage around this build, or with this gun in general? So you guys can get up to like 170k damage. That is, I do not recommend that ever. If you want to be squishy and die very quickly, you can do that. But base damage is not multiplicative, so we don't want to go for that, alright? This build is focused around critical hit damage and headshot damage and damage to elites. Those are the three things you guys need to focus on. Don't worry about weapon damage, that's not important. We don't need that. We need to multiply the damage from the headshots and the various perks that we get from critical hit damage. So just make sure you understand that before you get into this build, because if you don't understand the mechanics, you can go the wrong way. Now, if you want to make a full damage build, you can go for that, but you'll see that this is just a bit of a better way to do it. You can get higher damage outputs without speccing too much into firearms. So 127 is what we've got. Trust me, we hit a lot of damage. I think it's 500,000 damage every shot without any of the procs. So 15% crit damage, as you can see, we want to stack that. Put whatever gun you want as your secondary. I use the hunting M44 because of the reload speed's a bit better than the classic M44 carbine, even though that does more damage. Well, this one doesn't, funny enough. So what have I got here? First Blood. I love First Blood. Naked is also good. You can use Naked with Extra is actually the best combination for the Aces and Eights set because you run out of ammo pretty quick. So what happens is you get a headshot every time you shoot from a fresh magazine or when you're out of combat. So this is very strong. You could shoot the guy in the fingernail and it does headshot damage. So it's very, very strong. I like to use this gun, but that's up to you. You can use whatever you want. The pistol, that's not important. Let's go over now the stats. So we've got 252k armor, 105k health. As you can see, guys, the health is pretty high. Now, I don't want to go below 100k health because if you get flanked by an NPC, you're in a bit of trouble. Now, you can kill him, but we want to be able to survive. This is raid ready, this build. I don't want to just be a DPS build, so I hope you guys enjoy this, the way that you can play with this build. And let's just carry on. So the skill power is obviously low. We're not focusing to that at all. The mask. Now, this mask is needed for this build. If you don't have a high DTE mask, you're in trouble because you can roll. I don't know what the cap is, maybe 50%, but I've got 45%, which is actually pretty high. 5% health, I could probably change that, but I've gone for modifying this onto this mark, the DTE, so I can't change it, funny enough. I hate the way we can recal stuff, but anyways. Then we're going to have hard hitting on the mask. That's a no-brainer. Very, very simple right there. The chest piece is going to be very important. You guys want to run Unstoppable Force. Now we get a lot of damage. You can also go for whatever you want there. If you can see right here, I tested this with hard hitting and Unstoppable Force. That's very good, but that's not really what we want because I want to put some blues for this build. So it's up to you. You guys can do that. The Fenris is a very good option here. Then we've got armor, health, headshot damage because we want headshot damage. I have not specced into weapon damage. That's why it's not high. But this is multiplicative, so don't forget that. So once you've got that chest piece, obviously remember you got the 10% rifle damage, very important. Then we're going to move on to the holster. The holster is going to be a very controversial thing. I'm sure you guys will be a bit confused as to why I don't have a talent. There's reasons for that. That's because I actually went for the beautiful Murakami, which gives me the hazard protection, 21k health, and 13.5 critical hit damage, which is very nice. Now, you can go and you can put precise on. Let me tell you guys something right now. That crit damage and putting precise on is almost the same. I think there's like a 5,000 damage less from this, but we get all that health and all that utility because I'm always about utility. So don't go for precise, go for this. I promise you guys, this is why this build's a bit late. I've been doing crazy amounts of testing and this is just works. You just survive more. It just helps. So once you've done that, the backpack. Now, the backpack we've gone for, make sure you guys try and get a Wyvern because that gives us 7% crit damage. I could do 1.2 million damage if I wanted to, but then the build will just be ridiculously squishy. You would just die very fast. But you can hit those numbers if you go for, I think it's the RNK or the DNH, whatever, that gives you that extra 10% crit damage, and then their Heraldi Holdings, which gives you the 10% extra weapon damage. But I don't have the right rolls for that. So if you could get a Heraldi Holdings backpack and maybe the gloves or something like that, then you could, or the holster even, if you can have the two stats, the health and the critical hit damage, you could potentially get headshot damage. But we don't have all the same gear pieces, so keep that in mind when you're making this build. I want to show you guys in the right direction. You might have better pieces than me, so don't just go with what I say. I'm trying to explain it, so just keep that in mind. So I've gone for the crit damage. So just on this piece alone, there's 13% crit damage, which is actually quite nice. Crit chance is not, that's not viable. There's no point in stacking crit chance. And if you think it's going to help you with the other NPCs that aren't marked, it's not. Just don't worry about that at all. It does not help at all. Critical range is also a factor to put into thought, and it doesn't help. So weapon damage 7%, which is nice, just to get my base damage a little bit higher, even though it's not really important. I shouldn't have rolled that. I would have rather gone for a higher crit damage, but it is the way it is because we want hardened and hard hitting. Now that gives us a bit of extra armor. 250k armor is a nice balance. So make sure you guys do that. Now on all of your gear pieces, run a chem launcher on your utility mod slots because we want to be using the chem launcher to heal ourselves. You can, you're not going to really get a high mod, but maybe you can get like 20% heal upgrade. So it does help a little bit. But we're going to be getting all of the healing from Entrench as well, which is pretty good. And from when you reload this gun, I'm sure you guys understand from my first build video that you get a massive amount of armor from reloading. So you'll probably get up to 700,000 armor with this, and that's not a joke. You don't really need to spec too much into armor. That's why it's possible to have so much DPS but still maintain the armor rolls that we have. Now it just depends because if you run 190k, 200k armor, you're just going to be not getting that balance, and it's just through lots of testing. So you can take my word for it, or you guys can do whatever you want, as like I say. Rifle damage is very low there, unfortunately for me. The skill power is not necessary. That's why we can get better rolls, but I just don't have the right pieces. I've been farming and I just can't get it. The RNG is, you guys know the struggle for RNG. So we've got rifle damage. Just try to get rifle damage there. Precise is important because it's a headshot talent, so we need to get that on the gloves. Very important right there. Then an interesting pair of knee pads, to be honest. Health 20k and then Entrench. This allows me to get 100k health with the Yellow Guard, which gives us 5% total armor. Always good to run this. Entrench will be the reason why you can constantly tank damage. It's extremely, extremely good, and it really helps. That's why it's nice to have a bit more armor because 10% of your armor is quite a decent amount if you've got high armor rolls, and you can get your armor back pretty well. Obviously working together with the reloading of the actual gun itself from the shedding skin talent. So that is basically the build. It works extremely well. Now whenever players are marked, you need to just follow where it marks. Don't go against it. Follow where this thing marks and just go with the flow and shoot those enemies. Once you get the major talent, the bite marks, whatever it's called, then you're going to be doing massive amounts of damage. You'll be doing 930 odd k damage to each enemy. So it's very, very strong. The survivability is very high, and I love using this build in PVE. It's a really nice build. I'm currently working on a full maxed out DPS build, but I'm having a bit of trouble getting the pieces, and the testing so far hasn't gone very well. I've actually soloed the first part of Boomer in the normal raid, and I did it pretty easily with this because of the armor stacking and the health. So it's a bit of a strange way to make this build. There's many options. You can go for the massive damage rolls, but this to me is the best way to run it right now. If you want to go for full DPS, go ahead, have some fun, but I just wanted to show especially the people who follow me what I'm running and what I prefer to use. So the skills is going to be something interesting. Firefly is not really what you want to go for. Now I would go for this drone right here. This drone is unbelievably strong. You can see all the enemies around you, so you're aware You know, if one of the enemies gets marked, you can say, well, I can see where everyone else is, and I can shoot them knowing that I won't get shot in the back. So it's extremely strong to use this. This tactician drone is really fun to use, and I always use this if I'm running the sharpshooter specialization. And then obviously we're going to go for Chem Heal. Now the Chem Heal is not going to be good. As you can see, guys, I've put an auxiliary battery on, and I don't think we're going to get too much. Let's have a look and see how much healing we can get. That's the problem, is you're not going to be able to heal yourself too much, but you can go for the entrench, and then you will be good to go. Like I said before, you get your armor back very well. Even if this build works in PvP, it works in PvE just as good. So we're going to go over the stats quickly. Everything's active, obviously. We need to make sure that. Then we got 127 crit chance, that 2.5 is a waste. Critical hit damage is actually pretty high, 81%, and then 111% headshot damage. That's where we're going to be getting all of our damage from. And this is stacking the right things. You don't want to go for too much weapon damage. If you can, go for that, but we've been over that. So all weapons damage bonus 7%. Then we've got the, where is it? Rifle damage 30%, which is actually really nice. 75% DTE, which is very good for a build like this, which is kind of balanced. So this is a very nice number. That's why we're getting all that damage. The rest of the stats are over here. Not very much. We've got 1,400 chem launcher skill power and 2,000 firefly. So you could, if you have the right mods, you could end up getting like a 50% heal on your chem launcher. It just depends what mods you guys have. So anyways, this is the PvE variant of the diamond build. This is what I found to be the best. Unfortunately, some of the pieces weren't the greatest, but that is the way that I like to run it. Now, just a quick note on the gloves. Obliterate is something that you can use for this build. That gives you, I think it's about 25% critical hit damage every 5 seconds when you deplete an enemy's armor. It's a situational talent. You can use that. I would go for that if you really want to spec into massive damage for this build. It's a very, very nice talent. Funny enough, I don't have that talent. I've tried to get it. It's just RNG is not good. You guys know the story. So you can run that, but it is a bit more situational. It doesn't last for very long. But at the end of the day, with this gun and the way it is, you guys could pretty much run whatever build you want as long as shedding skin is working. You can do massive amounts of damage with deep fangs. You can get massive amounts of damage from this. Reload speed is good, 20% extra damage. It just really hits very hard. And critical hits, you're going to always hit critical hits. It's a fun build to use, very, very usable in the raid, funny enough, and it does a lot of damage. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. It was just a simple PvE build, but it is fun to use, very strong, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Please leave a like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and I will be seeing you agents in the next video. Peace out, boys.